There is a version of you that almost no one has ever seen. Not because you are dishonest, not because you are performing something false, but because this particular part of you contradicts everything you believe about yourself, everything others believe about you, everything the word intelligent is supposed to mean. And so you have kept it below the surface, for years, possibly for most of your life, carefully, efficiently, with the same precision you bring to everything else. The trait is not arrogance. It is not overthinking or perfectionism or the inability to suffer fools. Those are the traits people expect. Those are the ones written about, assigned to intelligent people with such frequency that they have become almost comfortable. A uniform, something to wear. What we are talking about is something else entirely. Highly intelligent people feel things more intensely than almost anyone around them realizes. Not occasionally, not in moments of crisis, but as a baseline condition. A permanent, private weather system that runs beneath every conversation, every room, every ordinary Tuesday. And they are deeply, specifically ashamed of this. Because they have always believed that their intelligence should have made them immune to it. This is the trait they do not talk about. The one that surfaces only at 2 a.m., or in the car alone, or in the specific silence after a room full of people has gone quiet. The first thing to understand is that this is not a contradiction. It presents as one, but the same cognitive architecture that produces complex thought also produces a nervous system that processes experience at a higher resolution. Psychologists call this sensory and emotional overexcitability. People of exceptional intellectual ability tend to experience the world with an intensity that goes far beyond what their environment calls for. Not dysfunction, but depth. The music hits differently. The cruelty in an offhand comment registers long after the conversation has ended. Everything arrives amplified. And the intelligent person decides it is a flaw. Because intelligence, as the world frames it, means control. If you feel everything this much, if the state of the world sits in your chest like a physical weight, what does that say about your clarity? The shame is not about the feeling. The shame is about what the feeling implies. So the concealment begins, not as a deliberate strategy, but as a quiet, incremental process of learning which parts of yourself are safe to express, and which parts make people uncomfortable. You learned that your analysis was valued, the way you could hold things together when others could not. And you learned, with equal clarity, that the feeling self, the part that carried weight for days that others had already put down, made people uncertain. So you divided yourself. The analytical self became public. The feeling self became private. Over time, the division became so automatic that you began to experience it as simply the way things were. The intelligent person in the room. The one you come to when you need clarity, not comfort. Because comfort implies need, and need is the one thing you have made sure no one sees. The cost is specific, and it compounds. The first cost is exhaustion. Maintaining the division between what you feel and what you show requires energy, a constant low-level expenditure that never fully stops. The second cost is loneliness. The people who know you know the version you have made available. It is real, but it is not complete. And incompleteness, sustained over years, produces a very specific kind of isolation. The isolation of being known, but not quite. The third cost is the relationship you develop with your own interior. Because the feeling self that was kept private does not simply wait. It continues to feel everything at full intensity, and without the ordinary human process of being witnessed, it becomes heavy. the specific heaviness of a part of yourself that has been carrying things alone for a very long time. Here is the center of it. The shame is not simply that you feel too much. The shame is that you believed your intelligence meant you shouldn't. That the capacity for depth of thought should have translated into freedom from depth of feeling. Every time you were moved by something you thought you should be above, every time you sat alone with something that wouldn't resolve no matter how clearly you could see it, that agreement felt broken. That gap became evidence of a flaw. This is the specific cruelty of this shame. It uses your intelligence against you. It takes the very capacity for self-examination that makes you who you are and turns it into a tool for self-indictment. You feel too much, and you know that you know. There is no escape from your own observation of the thing you are ashamed of. There is nothing wrong with you, not as comfort, but structurally, accurately, as a matter of psychological fact. The intensity is not a failure of intelligence. It is its companion. The same depth of processing that allows you to see what others miss is why everything lands the way it does. The capacity and the sensitivity are not in conflict. They are the same thing, operating in different directions. What changes when you stop hiding it is not the feeling. The feeling will remain because it is not a symptom. It is a feature. What changes is the cost. The exhaustion of maintaining the division decreases. The loneliness of being known incompletely becomes possible to address. And the relationship with your own interior shifts from something to be managed into something to be inhabited. You have spent years being the person who sees clearly, who holds things together. You are allowed to be seen as well, not despite the intensity, but because of it.